In this part of the lesson, we're going to learn about rounding off numbers. Rounding off is just simply reducing the degree of significance for a number so that it will be easier to represent. And we are accustomed to rounding off numbers very often in day-to-day life, but we just don't really recognize it. For example, if somebody asks you to go and buy something and you know it costs $18, you round off and say, well, give me a $20 and I will go and I will purchase it. So when you take that $20 and you go and you purchase it, you're not considering the change that you have for the person because you rounded off and told them how much the price was. Or let's say, for instance, an item costs $26.99, you would round off and say $27. And the 1 cent change, you're not really considering that 1 cent change. That's because the degree of significance or degree of accuracy has been reduced so that the number won't be as complex as it was before. Now, the best way to explain rounding off is to actually show you a couple of examples. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you these examples with respect to significant figures. You would understand as well that it is relevant in decimal places. So try and see if you can understand the concept of it. It's a very simple concept and it's very easy to grasp. Say for instance I have these numbers here, 1347. Now let's say for instance I want to round off that number. And when I want to round off the number, I'm rounding it off to get rid of this 7 that I have on the end here. Rounding off suggests that if your cutoff point, if the number after your cutoff point, which is this, is 5 or higher, then you simply have to add 1 to the number ahead of it. So this number should be 1350. And if it is that you round off, notice you get rid of the 47 and you have that. If it is I rounded off the number 0.3378, let's say for instance I am rounding it off, I am using this as my cutoff point here. The number after my cutoff point here is 5 greater than 5. So therefore that means I have to add 1 to this number here. When I add 1 to that number, I get 0.34. Let's say for instance this is my cutoff point here. My number after my cutoff point is less than 5. If it is less than 5, I do not need to add anything here. So I just leave it as it is. And notice the decimal point here. Each number that comes to the left of the decimal point have zeros added onto it. Notice that this is 135 with a 0 instead of just simply 135. Notice that the answer down at the end is 2 with 3 zeros after it instead of just being 2. We have to remain with the place value that it has. In this one here, we have 1,347. So we have to have at least 1,300. So we have 1,350 in this case. And in this case, we have to have at least 2,000. So that is why we have to put the zeros to maintain the place.